Hello and welcome back to Real Life Gaze and welcome to episode 4. Hope you're enjoying our series so far. My name is Gareth and I'm joined by the lovely Rhys and Lee. So Rhys, how have you been doing? What have you been up to?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thank you for asking. You went back to work, didn't you?
Yeah, I went back to work. I've got my hair cut and coloured.
Oh, very nice.
Very, very nice.
But yeah, just work, nothing serious, nothing fun.
Oh, we're missing you on TikTok.
I've started to get back onto it again.
I have noticed.
I'm starting to get there.
And Lee, what about you? What have you been up to?
Me, I celebrated my birthday yesterday.
Oh yes, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Had a nice virtual birthday, had an amazing virtual birthday. It was lovely, it was so nice. And then just been chilling today, sitting myself in the garden as you do.
And you can see by the three of us, even though Rhys lives in Cyprus, the one with the best tan is Lee.
And this time it isn't fake.
I'm not jealous at all. We have had some sun here in Scotland, but right now it is currently teeming it down with rain. So good old Scottish weather. Woohoo! So just a reminder, our contact details, if you want to send us a message with some comments or some topics or anything you want to discuss, please email us reallifegaze@yahoo.com and you'll find us on the socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, is all at Real Life Gaze, and all the links will be shown on the comments section in YouTube. So please, we'd like to hear what you're thinking about the episodes or any ideas you've got for future episodes if you want to come on as a guest. And we really appreciate everything we've had so far, so thank you so much. And of course, another plug for our merchandise. We've had a few orders already. Rhys, yours is on its way to you. It's a little bit harder when you live all the way around. But yeah, these beautiful mugs, they are dishwasher and microwavable safe, and they drink beautifully.
That's not fair. Oh my now.
Tastes so good.
They are available for £12, and that includes postage and packaging. I think that's quite competitive in the market. I'm very fussy with my mugs, and it's very smooth, it's very nice.
It is.
So please email us reallifegaze@yahoo.com if you're interested, and we'll give you our PayPal details. Okay, so please let us know if you're interested. And thank you so much for everyone who's ordered one so far. You should be receiving yours within the next week or so. And then please send us a selfie with your mug.
Yes, that'd be great. Tag us in your selfies on Instagram, social media. That'd be lovely.
Yes.
Love that.
So what we're doing is every week we're each kind of taking turns in what we're wanting to talk about per episode. So it's back to me. And I decided this week to talk about a subject that's quite important to me, and that's the subject of bullying. I think we touched upon it quite short in episode 1 when we had our coming out stories. We've all kind of been through a little bit of bullying in our life. It just comes with the territory a lot of the time with being part of a minority group, shall we say. Being gay, growing up in different areas, it can be difficult, and we've all had different experiences. And I just felt that I've never actually sat down and spoke about my experience of bullying in my childhood growing up in school. It's always kind of talked about, with comments here and there with my friends and family, but I've never actually publicly sat down and spoke about what I went through growing up in the closet, shall we say. And I thought, why not use this opportunity just to talk about it and get your opinions and your experiences both recently, what you went through, how it compares to what I went through, and any viewers watching this, if they went through things or their child or anyone is going through something similar, they can let us know, and it's good to know that you're not alone.
Yes.
So, I mean, nowadays it's completely different. Bullying now is, it's actually really easy to do it online, and I'm just really grateful that I didn't have smartphones and Facebook when I was at school. I think camera phones even just started maybe when I was in 5th year. Obviously you guys do it differently in England and around the world, but 5th year I was 17, and I got my first Motorola phone, flip phone with a camera. Looking back at some of the photos, I'm like, I don't even know what that is. But I'm very, very grateful that looking back now, we didn't have, Twitter and all these social media stuff, but it make it so easy to troll someone and bring someone down just by a click, and to be anonymous. It's quite scary how easy it is now. And I think a lot of people, especially children now, have it a lot worse, because it can come from all directions in different platforms. Whereas with me, it was pretty much all just at school. So before I go into my story, Rhys, what was your school life like?
That's probably one of the lucky ones. My bullying was very minimum. It did happen, obviously. I did get called names and things like that. I think it helped me coming out earlier because it gave nothing to the bullies. They had nothing on me because I was gay and I admitted it and I was open about it. I'm not saying that that's the case for everybody. I mean, obviously everyone's stories is different. For me, yes, I did get name called. Obviously stupid things like gay boy or puff and things like that, which still do hurt me today, but it was never very intense. I had an amazing group of friends, all girls, bless them, and they were absolutely amazing and stuck up for me whenever they heard somebody say something nasty. So I never really had to stick up for myself, which I kind of wish I did more, but I was very, very lucky. But I think coming out early helped me because I kind of went with it. Before I came out as gay, yes, I got bullied a lot more. I was name called a hell of a lot more, and obviously denying it. And no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I basically said, you know what, yeah, I am, it kind of stopped because they didn't have anything. Because they would say to me, gay boy, and I'd be like, yeah.
And?
Well, yeah. And then it kind of just fizzled out. As I've got older, obviously you still deal with it as you get older. Like you still get those idiots on the street that call things out to you when they see you walking down the street, especially with my pink hair. For me, I hate bullies. I cannot stand them. I don't get why you have to do that to somebody. I don't understand what you get from it. And I don't know, my bullying story for myself isn't as bad, but obviously I have seen it happen to other people. And not nice at all.
No. And what about you, Lee?
Well, possibly similar to Rhys. Just thinking then as he was talking and looking back, I mean, yes, at school I was bullied, name calling mainly. I mean, it was never anything, during school time, it was never anything physical. It was mainly, like puff, gay boy, this, that and the other. So looking back as an adult now, I'm thinking, back then, it probably did hurt me because I was like confused to what I was, what I was feeling. Obviously, the older I got, your mind changes and then you kind of realise who you are, what you are. But initially, like say in year 7, so just coming out of primary, going into senior school, and the early part of, say, senior school, you don't know what you are, who you are, what you're going to be in this, that and the other. So, yeah, like school-wise and whatnot, it wasn't great, but it also wasn't really, really bad. Like Rhys said, I saw other people, had physical violence towards them for whatever shape or form. And then just thinking then, as I said that, I wish I was stronger to support them. But then my mindset back then would have been, they could get me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. So similar to Rhys. So, yeah. But what about you then, Gareth?
See, when I look back in school, at school time, I actually remember it quite fondly because I was quite lucky. I had a really good circle of friends. Stereotypically, they were all girls. But I was one of those guys at school where I was quite popular with all the girls. I was quite respected and, I think teachers loved me as well. I had quite a good relationship with all, teachers and the girls' friends that I had at school. So when I look back, I do look back at it fondly because I've kind of put all the negativity into a box. But because I knew we were going to be doing this episode, I started to kind of research a bit more about my past. And this is all on my laptop. You know, my photos of my school years, even though they were on a crappy little camera, are all there. And then all these kind of memories started coming back. And, you know, I remember every day walking to school, because we walked, me and my friends, you know, my two friends who lived in the same street, we walked to school, and it would take us 20 minutes, half an hour. And I remember we always tried, because my other two friends were also quite, you know, scared, not necessarily because they got bullied like me. Well, one of them did, but my other friend didn't really. They were just very anxious people. So we always tried to wait before the bell went, and then we would go in, just so we knew that we weren't going to get any hassle or anything, because it's one of those things where if something happens right at the start of the day, it kind of shapes how your whole day is going to be. And I remember in our school, I was on the 3rd floor, so we had to walk up all these stairs, and you know, if I got tripped up on the way up or someone shoved me or something, that would just affect my whole day. My whole day I would just be on edge, or I'd be upset, or I'd just want to run home. So we always used to wait until we could see the hall on the ground floor was kind of empty. We'd go to our lockers and then make our way upstairs because we knew it was kind of safe. So it's been interesting looking back at all this stuff, because all these memories have started coming back. And, you know, I was kind of called gay and called all this, even in primary school. But again, I was quite lucky. I had a good circle of friends in primary school, and we didn't have a lot of bullying in my primary school. We were all quite a happy little primary school. We had nice little classes, and I had a teacher that I really, really still look up to this day, who's now a head teacher somewhere, and he was quite clearly gay. And he, obviously we didn't really know what gay meant when you're young, but I do remember one boy in our school called another boy gay, and then the whole classroom just went quiet because the teacher was so angry, and brought our other teacher in, they were kind of best friends. It was like, looking back now, it's quite obvious that they were like really close best friends outside of school. She brought them in, they sat us down, they were like, can you explain why you said to such and such that he's a gay boy? And he was like, oh, I don't know. And they're like, well, tell me, what do you mean by it? Oh, I don't know what it means. But why are you saying it in a negative way? Why are you saying to him, gay boy, as a negative thing? And he couldn't answer because he didn't know what he was saying. And I remember the woman was like, because I know gay people. And she was like, and it's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. It should be nothing that should be used in a negative, derogatory way. So I don't want to hear anyone saying it again. And it made a huge impact on our class, because it never happened again. And you know, and looking back, I was quite clearly a little gay boy. And the teacher who I had for a couple of years saw himself in me. He said this to me quite a lot, and I now know what he meant by that. And even to this day, he saw my mum, you know, a couple of years ago, and said to her, "Oh, how's Gareth? You know, he's one of the ones that I'll always remember." And it's quite nice to know that. But I was lucky in primary school, but it kind of gave me a false sense of safety going up to high school, because I felt like I could just be myself. And then, you know, you're at that age when you're starting to realise you're a little bit different from everyone else. You're seeing more things on TV, and you're going, actually, the word gay that they're using is, I think they might be right, because I don't like girls, or my fascination I had with Buffy the Vampire Slayer isn't because I fancied her, it's because I wanted to be her. You know what I mean? You know,
can I just say?
A gay icon is Buffy.
I had Pamela Anderson on my wall in a Baywatch outfit. Probably because I wanted to be like her with the long blonde hair and a sexy swimsuit.
But as your family think it's because you fancy her, and you kind of convince yourself that, oh, I must fancy her. You know what I mean? She's my ideal woman, because, you know, you idolize her, but you think because all your other friends or your family are kind of assuming it's because you fancy her, because she is a, you know, a sexy, you know, star, that you're got all over your wall like any other normal.
I think my family did actually know before me, let's say.
Well, yeah, and I think, you know, like I said in episode 1 when it came out, my whole family were like, oh, we knew.
Yeah.
But they were nice enough to kind of wait and let me come to my own realization. But the reason I didn't want to come out, like I said in episode 1, is because I was brought up with it being such a negative thing. So when I went to high school and I realised that, okay, this is not a very nice atmosphere. There's lots of kids from different schools now coming together. I don't know these people, and there are quite dangerous looking people here. I don't want to keep my distance from them. And then a few things would happen, or you'd hear things about other kids getting picked on or hit or something. You'd be like, right, I need to protect myself. And then maybe a few things that happened, name calling and shoving, that I thought, right, this is why we then got quite scared. And we would wait until the bell went before we went up. And then I remember, this happened for a good couple of years. I was lucky to the point where when I first went up to high school, my sister, who was a year above me or 2 years above me, must have been 2. She was in her final year when I went into first year of high school, so she was just in her final year. And you wouldn't really mess with my sister. Like, I love her to bits, but you wouldn't mess with her. So I think a lot of people left me alone because of that's, it's Alicia's brother. You wouldn't. And I remember once, when it was snow days, I used to hate snow days because you knew it meant you were going to get an ice ball at your head or something. So I remember walking home, my sister was behind me, and I remember these 3 group of guys got a snowball and threw it, and it smacked me right in the head. And you could have, I didn't know my sister was behind me until I heard her scream. And it was like a scene from a TV show. It was like bang on my head, and she was like, "What the hell?" I went mental. This boy, he crapped himself because my sister was like, "If you ever touch him again, I'll kill you." And ever since, I was like, "Okay, don't mess with me, there's my sister." And then when she left, I didn't have anyone to protect me. I wasn't friends with anyone who was a guy or anyone that would really stick up for me. So I was kind of left to stick up for myself, and I just wasn't strong at all. So again, because I was so close to some teachers, one of our teachers, her name was Mrs. Dick, what a funny name. She used to give us her classroom during lunchtime to sit in. So me and like 5 of my friends, we would go to the canteen and get our lunch and go and sit in her room, and we'd play games or whatever. And that was our safe area. So we didn't have to worry about mingling with other people or being vulnerable in that time where you weren't protected in a classroom. So we were very lucky. But the reason that happened was in 3rd year, it must have been 3rd year, after years of, constant name calling and whatever, and me denying I was gay and just, leave me alone sort of thing. I remember there being one day where it just got a little bit too much. It was one of those, we were walking to school and something happened. I think someone threw something at me, and that was like, okay, this day's going to be crap. It's going to be one of those days. And then I remember going to registration, you're registering your first class before your first period. And I remember someone shoving me into a locker, and I was just like, oh no. And then after that, we were doing an assignment or something in English. We were in English, and we got put with a group of 2 guys or something who were just delinquents or just idiots who didn't want to learn or whatever. And they weren't pulling their weight, and it was me and my other friend who were doing all the work. So when the period was over, we kind of said to the teacher after, it was like, well, just to let you know, they're not really pulling their weight in the group, and we are doing it all, and they're just carrying on, and it's just annoying us. Not knowing that the next period, because we had double English, we went back after the break, she would mention it in front of the whole class. She was like, it's come to my attention that one group is not pulling their weight, and I was like, oh no. I don't think she realised what she was doing, but of course they were then separated, and it just got messy, and I was like, oh no. And you could tell they were so angry, and I could feel their eyes looking at me, because it doesn't matter that I was with the girl who did it as well. I was the one who was the easy target because I was the little gay boy that they hated. And I remember coming out of the classroom, and they were like, you're gonna get it after school. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, oh no. And I just ignored it, and I couldn't get away from it any quicker. And this was all before lunchtime. I thought, okay, so something has been thrown at me. I've been shoved into a locker, and now I've been threatened to get, punched or kicked or attacked after school. And I was like, this day hasn't gone very well, and I was getting very anxious to the end of the day because I didn't know what was going to happen. And then another thing happened, because this friend had another friend who knew about it, again, I was going to another class, and again, I was shoved into a locker again, and told I was just a poof. I was like, he said, F off, you big poof, slammed me into a locker. And I was like, oh my God, this day is like the worst day of my life. And then I couldn't wait to get out of school the quickest I could. And I knew the person who said they were going to get me after school got a school bus. So I waited until their school bus had gone. So I knew that it was fine. But of course, I was walking with my friend, Christine, and it was just the two of us walking. And some local delinquent who had been, charged with assault, and he was just one of those boys at school that you knew was just dangerous. Was of course walking towards us whilst we were walking. I was like, oh my God, please don't say anything, just keep your head down. And he walked right past us, and I thought, okay, that's fine. But then he kicked me right in the back and wiped his shoe on me, and he was like, oh, don't worry, I'm just wiping the shit off my shoe. And I just said, just keep walking, Christine, just keep walking. And eventually he went home, and like that way, and we went that way. And I was like, I just need to go home. And I didn't speak to Christine the entire time. I just wanted to get in my house. And then I remember getting to my house, running upstairs and just crying on the bed, going, why am I so bad? Why are all these things happening to me? And I just couldn't really cope with the emotion, because although I had like a couple of things throughout my school, like gay boy and poof, or all questions every bloody week, are you gay? No, leave me alone, sort of thing. It was always kind of one or two things that I could deal with. But this day it was literally one thing after the other, and I thought, this guy didn't get me after school, but I'm going to have to go back to school tomorrow. Is it going to happen tomorrow? I can't go back to school. And then I had a really sore head, so I went to the medicine cabinet, and I was like, I just need some paracetamol. And I remember just thinking, no, I need to take all of them. So I think there was maybe 2 packs of paracetamol there, and I took them all. And I was like, this isn't enough to put me to sleep. So I went upstairs into my sister's room. My sister was always on medication for something. And I went into her bottom drawer, and I took out, I don't know what pills they were, and I popped them as well. And I was like, I just want this to end. So I went to bed, and I must have fell asleep. And then I heard my dad come home. It must have been about an hour later. And he always checked on me because he knew I got picked on, and he was always a worrier. And he shouted up, and he was like, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah. And I felt a little bit woozy, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to tell him. So I went downstairs, and I was like, it wasn't a good day. I told him what happened, and he was like, oh, we need to get this sorted. We need to go up to school. We need to do this. And I was like, well, that's not all. And I was like, I felt really crap when I came in and had a sore head, so I took some pills. And he was like, well, how many did you take? And I was like, a lot. And then he didn't know what to do. He panicked and phoned my grandma, his mum. She said, phone NHS 24. We did. And they said I was going to have to go in. So he then had to make the awful phone call to my mother to say, I'm taking Gareth to A&E because he's taken some pills because he's had a really shit day at school. And we went, and we were sitting in the waiting room, and I remember my mum running in. It was just awful. Like, looking back at all this, I've kind of buried all this. But the reason I remember it all so vividly, because I wrote it all down. I did an essay on it in school about my whole experience. So I read it all back, and it all kind of came back to me what happened. And they studied me or whatever in the hospital, and they realised my stomach didn't need to be pumped. They just kept me in overnight to make sure I was all fine. And I said I didn't want to die. And I was like, I don't know what I was thinking. I just wanted it to stop. I just wanted to go to sleep or whatever. I didn't want to die. But of course, I then got referred to a shrink. They wouldn't discharge me from the hospital until I spoke to a professional. And they deemed me fit to go back. But they said the school needed to be told, and they needed to obviously go through it and everything. And then I was sent off school the next day. And then I had to list all the people that made me want to do it. And I thought, well, is that not just going to make things worse? If I, grass, as we call it up here, don't grass on someone, but basically tell on someone, or what do you call it over there when you tell on someone?
Right.
Is it grass?
Yeah, similar. Grass, yeah.
Grass, yeah. So don't be a grass. But of course, I've got, my mum saying this, my dad saying this, my granddad, oh my God, my granddad went up to the school with his walking stick and smacked it on the headmaster's table. And he was like, you're going to deal with this. I nearly lost my grandson because of you and everything. So I had to write a big note of who was all involved. Everyone got told about it at school. I got written letters. I remember receiving a box of Cadbury's fingers from one of the boys who did it. He was like, I didn't realise what I did was so bad. And I was like, well, what you did, although it was a small part, you don't realise that that was adding already on top of everything else that happened. And to this day, I think some of these boys who did stuff like that were like, yeah, I didn't really do that anything wrong. I was like, but you don't realise what everything else has happened to me on that day added to it. If you didn't do your part, you know, it might not have pushed me over to that point. But the police got involved, and the guy who kicked me on the back was charged with assault. And it kind of, I don't know if it shaped me, but it made me a stronger person after it. I did feel like a lot of people, especially teachers, afterwards tiptoed around me a lot. And my English teacher, because I wrote about it, I remember her keeping me behind, and she was like, I feel so responsible for you because I played a part in it. And I was like, well, don't think like that. And I was like, it wasn't your fault. You weren't, you know, you were just doing your job. But I mean, that was probably the worst day I ever had it, and that was third year going into fourth year. And I stayed for another couple of years at school, and it never got as bad as that. But I never felt like I could come out, even though by third and fourth year I knew I was gay. But because I'd been through all of that, you know, to the point where I had the, you know, this don't do anything to him, he's suicidal kind of tag, it never felt like I could come out, because I felt like I'd done all that, my family had been through all that, because I got bullied, because of me being gay or whatever, which is kind of what caused it all. I felt like, no, I can't ever come out. So I got myself a girlfriend, you know, and just tried to convince myself that the life that I should be living is a straight one, and this is how I stay safe. This is how I don't want to ever go back to that way of wanting to. Again, I don't think I actually wanted to kill myself. I hate when I never really talk about it, because I always feel like if you say, oh, I took pills, people think, oh, so you tried to commit suicide. And I was like, well, I didn't actually. I felt so crap. I wasn't really thinking straight. No one was in the house. I had a sore head. It was just one of those things where, looking back at it, I don't really know what I was doing. I was just feeling so much. I just wanted it to stop.
You just wanted to like switch off for an hour.
Yeah, because I was so low, because it wasn't just one or two people. It was literally about 5 people on that same day. And it was for nothing. I was like, I didn't do anything. And I was like, I don't deserve this. I was like, just because, why? And I was like, I don't understand why it was me. And I think just because it was all those years beforehand of little things, you know, constant, and the fear of constant, I mean, even to this day, it's shaped how I still react in life. Like, even when I'm walking around the shops, or when I'm, you know, I'm faced with 2 young boys or 2 guys, I automatically still go into that 13-year-old gay boy that is scared, because I can't cope with being attacked or being verbally assaulted or bullied. And even though I'm now 31 years old, it has still got scars. And looking back at all this, it's almost as if I put a plaster over all these wounds, and I've never really had to open them up again. But I thought, you know, I want to kind of talk about it and put it out there that there are people who have had it a lot worse than me, who got, you know, battered every day at school and survived. I couldn't even handle one day when it was, you know, it turned physical. And I just thought, you know, if I tell my story and let people know that you do get through it, even though mine wasn't as bad as some people, I now have a really good life. I've got a good support network here, and I'm a proud gay man. And I feel like because we've just come into Pride Month, I thought now is the time to scream it from the rooftops.
I think that's the
I just want to say,
anyways, go for it.
No, sorry, I just wanted to say, obviously, we both heard that, the same as everybody else. And, you know, you said you don't really like talking about it and this, that, and the other. You were so brave to say that. I'm still feeling a little bit emotional now, just hearing it. And I just want to give you a big hug. And I would love to have been able to, you know, been your friend back then, and to be there and to hold you and hug you and say it's going to be all right.
Completely agree. So brave to say that on this.
And I think it was, a lot of people then felt, like my family, like my sister especially, felt so guilty that she didn't do anything, she didn't know, and it's because I felt like every day my dad would always, even before it happened, would always say, "How is it? Did you get picked? Any hassle? Did any bother?" And because probably deep down he knew that I was different, and he knew I got picked on, but I never really told him because I didn't want him to worry. So even if I got picked on that day, I'd be like, everything's fine, because why did I want to kind of put that on his shoulders? Because he couldn't do anything. And that's the thing, they always say, you know, tell teachers, tell this, you know. I don't want to say it took me for them to think I tried to commit suicide for things to change, because it's not a good message to send out either. Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing bullies don't understand. I mean, people who bullying anybody is obviously wrong. But what bullies don't understand is that some people are actually going through other things. Like trying to come to terms with the fact that you are gay is not an easy thing to do on your own. Trying to work that out in your head on your own, all these emotions that you're feeling, and then to have on top of that other people picking on you for the things that you're already trying to work out. It's just, and I know they don't get it, and I understand that, but this is why, to me, having that education in school of teaching students about being gay, letting them understand that you don't have to be gay, you don't have to be straight, you are who you are. In my world, I'm hoping that would at least ease the bullying for a lot of young people, whether you're male or female, whatever it is, just being able to understand other types. I mean, learning about Black history has stopped a majority of people from being racist. You stopped sexism by teaching the history of the suffragettes back in when they were trying to be able to vote. The same rules should apply for gay people. Maybe if they were taught about our history and taught about us as a culture, maybe the bullying would slow down like it did for the other groups, the other minority.
Yeah,
groups.
we wouldn't grow up thinking we're strange. Why don't we, you know, like the same as other people? All this sex education we're seeing, why am I not getting this? Why am I not interested in any of this? Why is it a man and a woman? And that's what makes you think you're different, and that's what gives people they feel they've got the right to pick on you, because you are different from them and what they are taught to be normal.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And I think it will come, and I think there are schools out there that have started it, and they're taking kind of matters into their own hand, but it would be nice if it was actual law that they must be taught it.
If it was in the curriculum, it would be amazing.
Yeah, but like I've always used the religious studies. Just because I'm taught about Buddhism doesn't mean I'm a Buddha. I'm not going to become a Buddhist just because I'm taught about it. Just because you're taught about homosexuality and all these other forms doesn't mean you're going to become gay because you're taught about it. And that's what's in these people's heads. They're like, oh, I don't want my daughter learning about gays and lesbians. I don't want her to become homosexual lesbian. I'm like, just because she's taught it doesn't mean she's going to come out as a lesbian. But if she is taught it, that would give her an opportunity to go, oh, I am that. You should feel amazed that she's been able to come home and be like, I've been taught something today that I've realised that's me. Instead of finding it out herself in her own way through TV or the internet now and realising, oh, I need to come out. Whereas it would be nice that they don't have to come out because they're taught about it, that these things are normal. And then
but also it's not necessarily about 100% what you said. Yeah, that person could be feeling all these different feelings and they can actually think, oh, actually this could be me. Or it could be a straight person who doesn't actually know, why is my friend feeling like this? Or, you know, why are people acting like this towards that person? Why are they bothering them? What does gay mean? And then they could be an ally to gay, lesbian, or not even just an ally. They're just educating themselves. And then they will, you know, a straight couple could then go on to have their own children, and then they would then pass that education on to their children. And it's, you know.
Well, even remember back in episode 1, I said I went back to my school. You know, a few years later, I was invited, and it was, I didn't say at the time, but I think it was obvious I was invited because I was the boy who, you know, attempted suicide in their eyes, you know, for being bullied for being gay. So they felt like I was the right person to ask back to talk to this LGBTQ group that had been formed in the school. And I remember walking through the corridors going, I felt such an anxiety attack. I was like, oh my God, this is awful, because all these emotions came back to me going, That's the locker I used to run to. That's the route I used to go up the stairs because I wanted to avoid everyone. And then when I spoke to everyone and I realised that, you know, one of the most popular boys in school was an openly gay boy, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. I felt so emotional. And like I said to you before, there was posters all over the walls of the school saying some people are gay, go over it. And I was like, this is amazing, but why wasn't this here when I was here?
It's amazing that over the years it's gone a positive way, you know, to more educate young people and everything like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the thing. This is what I'd like people to get in touch with us. I don't really know anyone at school just now who's going through stuff like this. So it would be nice to know, is it still the same at school? You know, is there bullying like this?
Even at school either. I mean, I wouldn't say I was bullied in the workplace, but we spoke about school and bullying and this, that and the other, but also people can experience bullying in the workplace on any level, shape or form. Yeah. Gender discrimination, obviously, is a huge thing. I'm 39, so I've had numerous different jobs over the years, and the majority of my working life has been very positive. I've made some great friends that are still friends now from, you know, year dot. When I started working out as a care assistant when I was 17, 18. But it was towards the earlier part of my career, and it was very, very low level innuendo wording and little bits and this, that and the other from certain individuals that I would either work with or work alongside, or they would say certain things within my company and I'd be like, what are you saying that for? Do you know what I mean? But then it was when until other people saw it as well, I'd be like, oh, well, it isn't just me thinking, oh, did I hear that wrong or something like that? And certain individuals, so yeah, even not just say at a school level or college or university, if you've had any issues or problems to do with bullying in the workplace as well, at any age.
Well, like it's now online, and that's what I was saying. Like, I'm glad I didn't use social media when I was at school, because I think it would be 10 times worse. And like what we're saying, even on TikTok, there's so many people who get abused. It's easy just to delete the comments, but it still sticks with you. And I'm lucky, touch wood, that I've not really had a lot of trolls or abuse online. I just haven't had it. I'm lucky. But I think also I've got such a thick skin now that if I did, I wouldn't care, because I've got a good life now. I've got a good family. I've got a good support network of friends. Some idiot calling me a poof for saying I should die because I'm gay, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, oh, delete, who gives a crap? I've got a thick skin because I've been through it all. There might be other people, and we've seen on TikTok and other forms of social media that some people don't have that thick skin. And I mentioned it before, but the Little Mix star Jessie, who did a documentary on, you know, she felt suicidal because of all the trolls that she experienced and all the nasty negative abuse she received for being a little bit different looking, to being the chubby one in Little Mix. She got so much
beautiful though.
She's so beautiful, but that has affected her so much. And her documentary, I was just like, you know, it's so sad that that's still happening, but it happens a lot. And I go on Twitter a lot, especially recently, because I'm keeping up to date with what's happening with the coronavirus, but also what's happening just now in America. I mean, it's tragic. And I go on and there's just so much hate, and it's so easy to get away with it. And that's why, thank God, I didn't have to grow up with that in school, because I don't think I could cope with it.
Similar, obviously I'm a little bit older, like I said, but back then we didn't have phones or anything like that, and especially not camera phones or phones with internet on and everything. I mean, just a side note, I'm so glad there weren't camera phones when I was going out on a night out when I was younger, because that would have been terrible. But no, going back to the bullying, you know, you go to school 9 to 5, 9 to 3, let's say, and it'd be bullied, and then home would be the little bubble, the cocoon, the safety place. And then sometimes it's probably walking to school, so then maybe 8 o'clock till 4 o'clock or something like that. But as soon as you're home, as soon as it's weekend, as soon as it's school holidays, sometimes I used to feel the relief. Oh, I don't have to worry about it until Monday or whenever it is in the week.
I think
I do want to say to the younger LGBT community that are watching this or can get to watch this, it does get better.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
and I know that slogan is a little bit cheesy. It does get better. You end up having a community that you find yourself that completely understand everything you've been through and are going through.
Yeah.
So it is hard at the moment, and you're not alone. And
it's okay to be gay. Like, I remember when all this happened, I don't remember what age I was, but I hated being gay. Like, I didn't want to be gay. And I hated that it was so obvious that I was gay. And I remember, I don't know how old I must have been, I must have to ask my mum this, but I got her to take me, because she had private health insurance, I got her to make an appointment, an ear, nose and throat doctor, to find out what's wrong with my voice. I mean, that's awful. I mean, my mum, I don't know why she took me. I think she must have thought maybe, to make him happy, I'll make him realise there's nothing wrong with his voice. But they put a camera down my nose and checked it all, and I was like, can you make it deeper? I don't like sounding so gay. Like, what's wrong with it? It's so high. And I just thought, looking back at that now, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But that stemmed from the fact that I wanted an easier life, that I could tell people I'm gay, instead of them just look at me and go, oh, he's gay. Do you know what I mean? But now I embrace it. I don't give a crap what people think now, and I love myself. But at the time, looking back, I just wanted an easier life. That I didn't want to walk into a room and feel like I had to mooch up and be like, hello. Do you know what I mean?
I had a similar situation to you. It was before I came out, and I remember I was in my downstairs toilet, and I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I just remember saying to myself, you're disgusting. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you having these thoughts? You're disgusting. What's wrong with you? And then it wasn't until my friend that I spoke about in the first episode, who helped me understand what being gay was, that I realized there's nothing wrong with me. I am normal in a sense of a word. And now, just like you, Gareth, I completely embrace it. And I'm not ashamed in the slightest. Literally, I do not care whether you like it or don't like it. I am me. And that's how I'm going to be.
Yeah.
But there are the same situation as you. I remember feeling hate for myself, for feeling the way that I was feeling and having the thoughts that I was having. I hated it.
And that just doesn't come from nothing. It comes from hate that you get from everyone else by putting you down and wanting an easier life. You don't just come to that realization on your own. It's because of the bullying that you've seen.
It's like a little seed, isn't it? It's like a little seed that if you hear something too much, you think, am I that? Am I this? And then you've got your own mind games going around. But like Rhys had said, you know, yes, you may hear that, and yes, there might be a seed, but please don't water it yourself. You know, it does get better. I promise you it'll get better, and you will find people that are just like you. I mean, you know, we've found each other, and we've created this. You know, I've found loads of different people across my whole life who are gay, lesbian, straight, love me for who I am, and, you know, that's it. It will get better.
Oh, yeah. I wish we could have told ourselves that when we were younger, eh?
Yeah.
I wish there was somebody to say to me, it does get better. Because I think it would have saved me a lot of those issues I had before I came out.
Yeah.
A lot of those issues.
And I think it doesn't help that I came from an area. I mean, I think it was a lot of areas like that back in, you know, late 90s, early 90s, where there was no openly gay people to look up to, unless it was just some celebrities on TV. And even then it was your stereotypical, you know, Graham Norton, Alan Carr, you know, all these people that were just stereotypically gay. And
what are you being served?
That was out, you know, I think looking back now, there was no one that came out when I was at school, really. And even in my town, I didn't know anyone who was gay in my town, and that didn't help.
I was the first openly gay kid in my school, from what I remember. By the time I was finishing school, there was a couple more that came out when they were in the younger years, which made me feel amazing that they were just coming out so young and so early. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It's hard to not have those role models. I mean, the gay people on television, they are amazing, and they have, you know, given us light, and people are now accepting us because of those, but they are very stereotypical. And obviously being gay is a lot more than just that, which I love them. I love Alan Carr, by the way, but but there's more to being gay than just being gay, if that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, look at Lee, he's not camp.
Not at all.
I can be camp. You've seen me off camera.
Yes, we know you can be camp.
Check out my TikToks. When I throw on a wig, I can be camp.
But no, I'm glad I've shared that, because I feel, I mean, I've never spoke about it fully for years, like at all. I have put it in like a little box in my brain, and I've never really had to venture to it. But I just felt like, because we now have this little platform, we've got a nice wee little fan club out there. I thought, let's just put it out there and tell people about my experience, and hopefully that might help other people's experience. We'll put some links at the end here as well to support groups. I think back when I was growing up, we had Beat Bullying campaign. Remember the little blue wristbands? The Beat Bullying? That was a huge thing. But you've now got support groups like Stonewall, and there's a lot of other support groups out there. And that's what I always say, tell someone. Even if it's a stranger and you're going through something, speaking about it helps, because I never spoke about it really to anyone until it was too late.
Just to verbalise it and actually get it out of your own head and just out there. You know, problem halved is a problem shared, things like that.
Yeah, and it's easier to do that now, especially online. There's lots of things online. There's online chat rooms, there's online messaging, there's emails, there's all these easy ways to do it straight from your phone. You know, they make it so much easier to get help.
Definitely.
So is there anything else you'd like to add, boys?
Just well done to you, that story. I'm still a little bit like...
Sorry, I don't think you were prepared for it, were you?
No, but thank you again.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Touched me a little bit. Only a little bit. You know I don't have a heart.
A swinging ice cube. Obviously, guys, it is Pride Month. Obviously, it's not just my birthday month. I am lucky enough to share my birthday with Pride Month. So happy Pride Month to everyone across the world. So every day of June, it's Pride Month.
It is indeed.
This is why I've decided to wear a bright, colourful top.
Little fact about Pride Month. So the Stonewall riot started on the 28th of June, 51 years ago this year, okay? I got married on the 28th of June last year, which was the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots. And I was very proud to tell everybody that.
Was that on purpose?
No, it wasn't until we booked it. And then I was like, hang on a minute, I'm pretty sure that date is something else.
That's amazing. That's really amazing.
Yeah. If it wasn't for those people back at Stonewall, we would not be allowed to get married today. So
yeah,
that's it.
Amazing. And we're not going to talk about, in the whole month of Pride, we're not going to mention coronavirus. We're not going to mention any negativity that's happening in the world just now, because there is a lot of negativity and a lot of tragedy that's happening around the world, in America, in the UK, everywhere. And this, for your half hour you watch us, is going to be your little segment of just RLG time, our stories, and how we can shed some light in the world.
And celebrate Pride.
Yeah! And at the end of each episode now, we are going to be having a lip sync. So this week I chose the song, and it is Glee, Don't Rain on My Parade. So that'll be coming up right after, so don't miss it. And
see, that's why it's raining at your end.
What?
I said that's why it's raining your end.
Just because
you've got the full pyrotechnics and everything. You'll be out there in the rain.
It started to rain. That's how powerful my lip sync is. So please remember to get in touch with us. reallifegaze@yahoo.com, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at reallifegaze. We do have our own website coming soon. So once that's up and running, we will share the details. And of course, if you're interested in our first item of merchandise, our mug, £12 including postage and packaging, message us, please, on any of our socials or on email. We will have more merchandise, but we just want to see how the mug takes off, and then decide what we want to add after that. We'll have t-shirts and vests and pens and a shade fan. That is the goal.
Rhys, go like that. See, we can just superimpose a cup on his hand.
Yeah.
Superimpose it out. I'll just cut this one out and put it.
It's really wrong.
Oh, dearie me. On that note,
Sorry.
as always, thank you all so much for watching this episode. We will leave you with Don't Rain on My Parade, and we shall see you all next week. Mwah. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. And
Don't bring around a cloud to rain on my parade. I'm gonna live and live now. Get what I want, I know how. One roll for the whole shebang. One throw, that bell will go clang. Eye on the target and wham. One shot, one gunshot and bam! Hey, Mr. Ornstein, here I am. I'll march my band out. I'll beat my drum. And if I'm fanned out, your turn at bat, sir. At least I didn't fake it, hatch, sir. Guess I didn't make it. Get ready for me, love, 'cause I'm